Most people don't realize it, but the biggest Social Security mistakes don't show up until years later when it's often too late to fix. You might have run the numbers, maybe you build a spreadsheet, but smart people still make these three Social Security mistakes all the time. And the danger is that they actually sound reasonable. That's what makes them so costly. Over the course of my career, I've helped hundreds of families turn Social Security into part of a reliable retirement paycheck. And today, I'll show you the three traps to avoid and how to make smarter decisions for your future. I want to start with a big one. Let me tell you about one of the first couples I worked with way back in the day. For today, we'll call them Dave and Linda. Dave was 65. He was still working part-time. Linda had just retired. They'd both heard that waiting until 70 to claim Social Security was the smart thing to do. Bigger check, better math. That's what the internet told them to do. That's what their smart neighbor that worked for the accounting firm said to do as well. But here's what they didn't realize. Waiting until 70 sounded good, but in practice, it meant that they were draining down their retirement accounts to cover expenses in the meantime. In fact, they were burning through about $50,000 per year from their portfolio in a volatile market, all while waiting for that bigger future check. By the time Dave turned 70, their nest egg was down almost $200,000 from where it could have been if they would have taken a hybrid approach instead. And here's the thing. In most cases, spending your own money just to increase your Social Security check later is a bad trade. You're using your hard-earned assets so the government can hang on to theirs. And when you actually run the numbers, not just the Social Security break-even, but what it costs to fund the wait, the math falls apart fast. You're not breaking even at age 80. In many cases, you don't come out ahead until you're into your 90s. Here's the fix. Don't just wait for the bigger check. Claim with a plan, because retirement isn't about maximizing Social Security. It's about minimizing your regrets. It's about living your best life. It's about making the money work for you, not just having the biggest number on a piece of paper. The takeaway here, don't make your Social Security decision in a vacuum. Look at how it impacts the rest of the plan. Does waiting until 70 require you to work longer than you otherwise would like to? Does it require you to spend your own assets? You got to look at all of the angles before you make a decision. Let's move on to the second one, mistake number 2. Let me paint a picture for you here about a woman that we'll call Sarah. Sarah's husband passed away 2 years into retirement. She was 67 at the time, and up until then, they'd made all their financial decisions separately. They had separate accounts, they kept separate money, all of that stuff. He had taken Social Security early. He took it at 62. He wanted to get the money early and start spending and living, and she had deferred hers until full retirement age. What they didn't realize is that when one spouse passes away, the survivor only keeps the higher benefit. The other one just disappears. And so when her husband passed, Sarah lost $800 a month of household income for the rest of her life, and no one told them up front that they should really coordinate their decisions. And so here's the lesson to learn from Sarah. Social Security is often thought of as an individual benefit because it applies to you specifically, but for married couples, it's really a team sport. The timing of each spouse's claim affects what you'll get as a couple while you're both alive, and what happens when one of you passes away. This matters even more if one spouse had a lower earning history or took time out of the workforce, because you really got to make the most of what you have from Social Security. So if you're married and you're making Social Security decisions without considering all of this, you're missing a huge opportunity, and you're potentially setting your spouse up for a massive pay cut down the road. Here's the takeaway. Fear is a terrible financial advisor. Too many people rush to claim early just in case, without considering everything that claiming early can mean, and they end up putting their partner at risk. Now, for what it's worth, I'm all about claiming early. You know that if you watch the channel, but you have to do it the right way, making sure how it impacts everything else. You can't just decide to take it at 62 because you want to take it at 62 without knowing what that means. Now, we're cooking here. We're going to get on to mistake number 3. I know you've seen them. These online tools, the spreadsheets that tell you something like, well, if you live past 81, it's better to wait until age 70 to claim your benefit. That's a break-even analysis. It's a calculator that'll give you the right math decision. We use one of those with clients in our planning process as well. Here's the problem with it. Just like with all other areas of retirement planning, there's the right math answer. You sort of have to find that first. And then you have to run it through the filter of your own life, your own goals, your own risk level, all of the stuff that matters outside of the spreadsheet. That's why these calculators can be some of the most misleading tools in retirement planning, because it gives you the appearance that you've done the research, you made the right decision, but it doesn't actually factor all of these things in. It treats retirement like a math problem, but it isn't. It's a life problem that needs to be solved. The math is only one step. Break-even calculators don't know when you actually want to retire or what happens if the market drops while you're waiting. They miss out on taxes, sequence of returns risk, spousal planning, all of the real-life stuff that actually matters when it comes to your decision. Let's go back to Dave and Linda from our first example. If they had followed a break-even chart, it had told them to wait, but a real retirement income plan would have shown that maybe they should take Dave's benefit at 66, delay Linda's until later, until maybe age 70, use a small portion of their brokerage account to bridge the gap, minimize the taxes, and protect their long-term income. That would have preserved over $100,000 of portfolio value and allowed those assets to continue to grow in the future. You're not going to get that from a calculator. A break-even chart is a starting point. It's not a plan. What you need is a strategy that looks at all of the pieces together: your income needs, your portfolio risk, your tax bracket, your long-term goals. So quick recap on those 3 big mistakes. Waiting until age 70 without a plan is a problem. Ignoring the impact of your spousal benefits is something that you just can't do. And using break-even math instead of a real retirement strategy is a big issue for folks. The scary part: all of these seem reasonable on the surface, and that's why they slip through the cracks, and they end up creeping into retirement plans everywhere and costing people thousands of dollars. Before we wrap here, let me give you a quick bonus tip for sticking around. Not necessarily one of the mistakes I see, just a word of advice. A lot of people put off making a Social Security decision sort of until the last minute. They just assume that they'll claim when it feels right, or someday their boss comes out with some new idiotic policy and they decide, like, that's it, that's enough, and they go online and they claim their Social Security. Here's the truth: like a rock dropped in a pond, your Social Security decision has ripple effects. It impacts your tax bracket, your Medicare premiums, your withdrawal strategy, those spousal benefits that we talked about. And so plan early, well before you actually intend to take it, so that you can understand all of those consequences and feel good about the decision that you make. If you're wondering how to do that, how to time your own Social Security decision, not just to get the biggest number, but to build a real income plan in retirement, that's part of what we help clients with through the Clear Vision Retirement Plan. This is where we look at Social Security, your investment accounts, your taxes, all of that stuff all in one place, and help you build your own retirement paycheck. If that sounds helpful, there's a link in the description to schedule a no-cost consultation. I'd love to help you put the pieces of your puzzle together. Now, if you think that waiting is always the smartest move, if you were rolling your eyes when I went through that part of the video, you might want to think again. In this next video, I'll show you 2 surprising reasons why taking Social Security early beats waiting until full retirement age. I'm going to put it right over here.